Hello.
Hello.
Yo.
We should have said yo. Welcome to There You Go, Mason.
Thanks for having me.
Give me something, brother. So today we have Mason Hunter, the
Welcome.
man, the myth, the legend.
Am I looking at this camera
You
here?
don't have to look at it. You can look at either one of us. Like it doesn't really matter. So today we're Mason just put out like a week ago, like today. I think it's a week ago
today. 29th.
Yeah. Mason just put out this album called Rat. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you kind of like.
Oh yeah, that's called Rat King.
Funny as hell. No, but Ray and I listened to it earlier today. I've been listening to it like all week, bro. Like, this shit is really fucking good.
Yeah,
Man,
seriously,
thank you.
bro, it's really good.
Thank you so
And,
much.
like,
Really good.
Like, and I guess like this is kind of what we talked about last night, on our episode 0. But like, I'm more of a music guy. Ray's more of a movie guy, right? And so the fact that we like, I don't know, like we both love this project, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, Ray has made music. We talked about that on last episode, but yeah, I guess. Oh, I'm looking at episode 0. The first thing I have on here is like kind of our history, like how we know each other, how we met, that sort of thing. Would you like to take the wheel here?
Yeah, I mean, I met Tom basically through my sister's boyfriend, Zach. They grew up together in Iowa, and I started a D&D campaign like towards the end of COVID. Well, I guess not the end of COVID. It was in summer of 2020, and end of quarantine rather.
Yeah.
And so we started playing, and then Zach said that Tom was going to be moving into town. So I was like, dude, have Tom on. Let's play with Tom. You had never played before, right?
I had played like slightly, like a little bit, but like never like a full blown like campaign,
Right.
like what we are doing currently / what we were doing then. Yeah, and like I just want to say like I appreciate you so much for like including me like when I moved here.
100%, man.
like I knew that like the day we met, I'm like, okay, Mason's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and you know, like we were talking about music, we were talking about D&D, you know, like we were talking about like core memories last night. Like that's a core memory for me, like the day I met you type shit. Like,
I remember you playing your music the day that I met you. Actually, it was I feel like it was some party during the day, and you played your newer track, and I was like, damn, those harmonies are awesome, dude. I really like what he's doing.
Thank you, bro. Like, and this was back when I was still making music as Duke Crewneck.
Right.
And so you've kind of seen the evolution, and
Very much.
You're about as familiar with it as anybody else.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about me. I think that's enough backstory. Let's talk about Rat King.
Let's do it.
Ray, I'll let you take the wheel here.
Yeah, so I mean, how did it... Well, first, do you want to talk about, you know, what kind of music you do? How would you describe it? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's always been tough for me to describe it because, I mean, really, if you want to boil it down, it's just electronic pop at the end of the day. I do a lot. I started out on FL Studio, so I was always like chopping samples and stuff and using MIDI heavily. I was very much in the box from the start.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like it's always been electronic to some degree, but I played piano and obviously I'm a singer, so I try to like bring that stuff into it. As time has gone on, I bring more acoustic instruments into my songs. But yeah, I mean, I take a lot of... I mean, I'm heavily influenced by bands like Animal Collective and the Shins, and Sufjan Stevens is a big one, and Radiohead. So it's kind of just this big blend of a lot of those textures and like just sonic qualities, and I kind of inject them in random places throughout songs. So I'll be writing a song and be like, oh god, that's totally a Shins part.
Like for me, like being the most familiar with Radiohead, like specifically like OK Computer and like Kid A is like the album I've listened to the most probably. Like I hear moments and I'm like, damn, that's like right there.
Oh, Kid A is huge for me. That's absolutely top 5 favorite albums for me. I love Kid A.
Man, like, are you? I forget what I texted you that I was like, it sounds like this, and this. It was Animal Collective.
Flaming Lips was the other one.
Flaming Lips was the other one. Have you listened to the Flaming Lips?
Yeah, definitely.
Like specifically, the only album that I have any familiarity at all with is Yoshimi Battles the Big Robots, and I see, especially in like your drum selection, like I see a lot of that.
Sure. Yeah, there was actually. It's funny you bring them up because I never cite them as like an inspiration, but so much like electronic and other indie stuff from since the 2000s has kind of made its way into my brain, so it doesn't surprise me that popped up too. But yeah, there was a point where I can't remember what song it was, but there was a melody that I was like, what is that reminding me of? Why does that sound like that's been used? And it was just one little thing that was very similar to oh gosh, see, now I can't even remember the name of that song. It's the From the Future, that Flaming Lips song.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. It's been a long time.
You couldn't meet a man who's from the future.
Yeah,
I can't remember what that song is, but something from that song popped in.
I think it's one of the closing tracks.
Yeah,
on
I think
that
it
album.
is the closer actually.
Yeah. Ray, are you familiar with any of these?
No.
Fair
but
enough.
but I'm gonna check it out though. I mean, because
I was thinking about making a playlist of just all the stuff that inspired me for Rat King. That would be fun to do that.
Yeah.
Dude, you definitely have at least 2 listeners on
yeah,
that
for sure.
playlist.
That's all I need.
And we didn't have this written down, but like, bro, like this is your first album that you've like released on streaming services. I know I know you released stuff previously. And we were listening to some of that in the car earlier, just for context. Not super familiar with like your whole back catalog, but I can't remember where I was going with that.
It's all fired up, bro. Like it's all.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all good. But
Thanks.
like, would you agree that like, I mean, you wouldn't have put it out if you didn't love it and care for it and whatnot, but would you agree this is like the penultimate like Mason?
It's definitely the most. I put the most. How do I put this? I feel like I just was able to really distill the ideas that I had better than previous stuff.
Yeah.
Because before, I feel like, especially with the first thing that I made called Masked, which is just essentially a blatant rip-off of Panda Bear.
Okay.
I had no clue what I was doing. It was all made in FL Studio, Fruity Loops at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was very much just like washed out vocals. Like I didn't know what I was doing at all. And then that just like slowly started to like, everything kind of started to clarify as time went on. And so this one was like the first album that I was like, okay, I know what I'm going for sonically, and I actually know how to get there this time without feeling like I'm just reaching for stuff in the dark.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, I always try to, I like not quite knowing what I'm doing. I feel like it's a part of the creative process for me, is like that sense of exploration.
Yeah.
So I think, to answer your question, I really feel like Rat King just kind of brought together all of the textures and the melodies and ideas that have been kind of brewing for the past few years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It feels like the strongest batch of songs from me. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you mentioned ideas. So like with this project, was there like a theme you were going for, or really how did it come about, I guess?
Yeah. So probably starting back in 2000. 17, really. So about 5 years ago, I wanted to do something that was a little bit darker, a little bit more like textured, even like maybe even lo-fi-ish, but I didn't know. I just wanted it to be kind of sketchier or darker. And then I came across on the internet this concept of a Rat King, and a lot of people, when they hear Rat King, they just think it's it's a rat with a crown, whatever,
Right, right. But not
yeah.
to cut you off, but
Sure.
also the rap group Rat King.
Right, yeah, and I did learn about them, and I was like,
yeah.
okay, damn, whatever. It's an album title.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Rat King?
I know of it. Yeah.
Like Wiki, we were talking about Wiki last night, and Wiki was in Rat King.
Okay.
Well,
the Rat King that I was inspired by is this. Well, what happens? It's this phenomenon where rats, like, they live in very close proximity, and sometimes what will happen, and they've found these throughout history, their tails will fuse together, and they will find just this mess of rats where all of their tails are connected into a knot.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's something else.
But I just thought that was like so nasty, but like cool.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was like, wow, and they call it a Rat King. I just love the imagery.
Yeah.
They actually found one last year in October in like Estonia or something, and there were 13 rats, and they were still alive,
Wow.
What the fuck?
all knotted at the tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool, actually. Like, I had no idea that was like a
Yeah.
real thing.
I know, that's like the exact feeling that I had, and I was like, that's really cool. I love the imagery there, and I like just kind of wanted to build off of that. And this record is really about like it's really about like trying to look in the face all of like the uglier parts of yourself or myself.
Yeah.
And to me, like, there's like, that is just such a gross thing to look at, is this knotted tail.
Yeah.
And there's like, I talk a lot about anxiety too in the record, and to me, like, anxiety feels like a knot, like just a big knotted thing that you're just trying to,
endlessly
untangle.
untangle like Ray's headphones.
Yes.
yeah.
Exactly. So
um,
that's where it all kind of stemmed from.
And it's funny because that comic, there's this comic called Red Room, and it's about people who get on the dark web and they like murder people on live stream. But there's this character called the Rat King, and he takes a bunch of heads and ties them all together by the hair.
Damn.
And like it's like a torture thing. It's crazy.
Super dark and just gross.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I think it's interesting because the album, like, I will agree, like, I won't dispute the fact that it is dark, but it's so like bright too. Like it has this like air of like optimism to it.
Yep. That's just inherent in pretty much everything I write.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me to say that this is dark is like,
Yeah.
Usually I've written like saccharine stuff that is just like super sweet and like, so yeah, me saying this is dark is like probably not dark
in the grand scheme of things. Yeah.
Exactly.
I my next thing I have written down is like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there seems to be a theme of like repeating lines throughout the project.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Like,
Yeah, I have a few lyrics that I reuse.
Yeah, like the first track, Rat King, Long Live the King. Like you and I remember when I first like texted you about the album, that's what I said to you, man, like that, like, and it grows in intensity throughout, like it's really powerful, bro.
Yeah, well,
like,
thank you. Yeah, I wanted to kind of open on something very different for me, because I feel like that song is very different compared to a lot of the rest of that stuff on the record. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. It's hard because like after a while you work on something and you have this idea, you it kind of gets situated in your mind a certain way, and you're not really like, people are gonna listen to something in a completely different way than you hear it. So I don't know what comes out and what kind of blends in.
Right.
Yeah.
No, Ray, you can speak on this too, but I think this is like a super polished and cohesive project.
Yeah,
right?
like some of the transitions in that, bro, are like perfect. Like, or if not all of them. Like,
like that was one of the next things that we had written down as well. Is like it seems like you take so much care in your transitions, like track to track.
Yeah, I mean, I love albums. I've always been such
Yeah.
an album guy, and I just hate when it feels like stuff is just thrown together.
Yeah.
Right.
I like everything makes sense for me. Like when I see the progression, it's like not just a progression sonically, but like a progression of ideas. And yeah, absolutely. Like I want the song to end and then feel like it makes a lot of sense when it comes into the next one, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Ray, I feel like you should ask about the movie.
Oh yeah. So we have. If this project was a movie, like what movie would you say it is, or like what's a better way to ask? Like if you could relate it to a film, you know, like
That's
what's
a
the
super
first?
cool question.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the soundtrack for that film. It you know, like
Yeah.
like it's just like, not to cut you off,
No,
but
you're
like it's more so like vibe related,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Oh man, that's a good one. I might have to think about that a little bit. But
I mean, you know, think on it, but what is your favorite movie?
my favorite movie is Lost in Translation.
Okay.
It's directed by Sofia Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Bill Murray in it and Scarlett Johansson.
Mhm.
And it takes place in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
They both kind of meet at this hotel. It's this amazing hotel that I really want to go to if I ever get a chance to go to Tokyo. It's the Shinjuku Park Tower. And anyway, the movie soundtrack is amazing. And I just love how they capture the feeling of, this might sound weird, but like the feeling of being in a hotel. It's alienating while at the same time extremely comforting because they try to make it feel like home.
Right.
And so both of these people are Americans in the film, and they're lost in translation. Like
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
feel so fish out of water in Tokyo. And so they kind of come together at this hotel. Man, everything from the soundtrack, the cinematography, the script, it's like it's a comedy, but very, very lightly a comedy. It's just a good story, and I've always really it's like a calming movie for me.
Yeah, very like melancholic and yeah, for sure.
Have you seen this movie?
I haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like Sofia Coppola is the shit for real.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, she's great. The what keeps coming to mind about what movie the Rat King would
Yeah.
be, I keep coming back. I don't know what movie it would relate to, but I feel like it would be a claymation.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey.
That's dope.
Something animated maybe.
Yeah.
And then it would also be, it would definitely be like it's set in the medieval times.
Okay.
And not like there's the king thing, but there's like a Baroque quality to it that might fit. I don't know. That's a really hard question. I'm kind of not even sure if I'm making sense myself.
No,
No, you good. I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds dope, bro. Like you should damn near make that happen, bro.
like
If I think of another movie that like really would work for that question, I'll bring it up.
yeah. Interject at any point. So we obviously, like I have listened to it you know, significantly more than Ray has. I have, you know, my favorite songs and lyrics and that sort of thing. But what are, like, and I know we've had or I saw on your Instagram story that you're like, this one is a fan favorite. I believe that one was Tame, if I'm
Yeah, I did
correct.
say Tame.
Yeah,
I had a lot of people reach out saying they liked that one a lot.
Okay. But like, do you have a favorite song on this record?
I don't know if it's recency bias, but I was really pleased with the way At the Marrow came together because I feel like it ends the album on a pretty poignant note.
Yeah.
And I just love the groove at the end.
Yeah.
And the way I write lyrics is really like it's odd because like it's the absolute last thing that I do. So the first thing that happens is when I'm writing, it's just gibberish vocals.
Yeah, man.
And then at the end, I'm like, what words fit well here? And like, does it actually fit with what I'm also trying to say? So it's this little puzzle. And that one, I don't know, the lyrics just came together in a way that I was like, this just sounds cool. I don't even quite fully know what it means, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
letting time pass and then going, oh, okay, I think that's
This
kind of
is
what I was
this
saying.
means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 My favorite songs are like that, where, where it's so unclear what it's actually supposed to be about. Is
We're
that thing
good.
good? Okay.
We're good.
But yeah, I really like At the Marrow. I think I'm also Tame is another one that I was super proud of. Yeah, I mean Tame, Doom Scrollers, like I'm really proud of all the tracks, but yeah, I think the strongest song on that album, it's either Doom Scrollers or Tame. I just think that those have the best lyrics and the best song crafting, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And Doom Scrollers was the single.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you just said more or less, but like, was there any more logic behind like releasing that as a single? Like, do you think that's?
It was the first one I finished.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
And I knew it was good. Like of all the
Yeah.
rough drafts that I had of the songs, I was like, that one stands out to me. That's I feel like that one will be cool.
Right. I have my favorite songs are In a Knot, Tame, and The Spinning Wheel.
I'm really glad to hear In a Knot because I thought that one was the odd one out of the group.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like, I don't think, and you can speak on this too, Ray. But like, I really don't think there's an odd song out here.
Yeah, not at all.
Love to hear that.
Not at all.
And I feel great.
Yeah, that's what we're here for, bro. There you go.
I'm coming back next week. We're just
We're just here to stroke your ego.
hey guys, time for another podcast. I'm feeling down.
Funny as hell.
So I mean, I'm curious, bro. Like, so you know, every artist has their like block or like, you know, moments where, you know, nothing is being created. So, you know, if you have like your writer's block or, you know, you feel like you just can't create anything, is there anything specifically that you do to, you know, like, I'm gonna go read a book or play a game and get inspired and then come back? Like, is there anything specific like that you do?
That's a really good question because I was blocked for a long time before making this album. I just was like, I don't know why I can't get the sound that I want. And man, my dad was pestering me for years, being like, "Well, you gonna put some new music out?" I'm just like, I just can't. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, well, there are a couple of things. One, I feel like when you reach that point as a creator, like whatever you're doing, you just need to stop.
Yeah.
You need to get away and just put it away for a couple weeks. And like some people are afraid of that because they think that, well, then, you know, the creative muscle is going to atrophy and like I won't. No, it'll like refill the tank. Go and do stuff. I always like I'll take a walk, and this is like over the course of a few weeks to get out of something. I like will go on a trip or something. I'll try to plan some different thing, some unique thing. Go hang out with people I haven't seen in a while in a location that I haven't been to, or
That's a big thing for me too. Like I've rearranged my apartment so many times. Like I've moved so many times. You know, like a change in location, whether is huge for.
Oh, that was another
creativity.
thing. I bought a house last year, and that was
Yeah.
when I started really hardcore like writing and producing for the record. And I think that was a big part of it. Is I just totally changed the space I was in.
Yeah.
And having a studio where I could just be loud because I wasn't living in an apartment anymore.
Right.
Right.
That freed me up too to just try stuff and just be, you know, absurd. But yeah, I really think just stopping and changing something up. There's a book called The Artist's Way, and the woman who wrote it, I can't think of her name right now, but she talks about going on artist dates, taking yourself on an artist date. And that's basically, like I said, you know, going and doing something specifically just to like be out there and live in life and allow that subconscious kind of creative mind to just take stuff in. And yeah, that's a great tip. And then I do this other weird thing where I have I think it's from the Odyssey. It is like the invocation of the muse. It's like a little poem that apparently Homer used to recite before he would start telling the story of the Odyssey. And that's a little woo-woo, but it's the idea is that you're creating this ritual and you're also putting the creativity thing in the hands of something else. You're just like, I'm invoking the muse, like I'm putting it out there. I'm ready to receive like whatever ideas are floating in the ether.
Right.
And if they're not there, I'm just not picking anything up today. And then you just
on to the
you're
next.
done.
Yeah.
But you got to at least sit down and be like, I'm willing. And that little routine of like reciting that thing and like, you know, lighting a candle or whatever, having coffee, just like all those things kind of get you in that headspace. Yeah.
Cool.
It's funny because like you're my DM like and that's like that sounds like such a fucking Dungeons and Dragons
It really
thing
is.
to do in real life.
Yes.
Like, hold on, I gotta draw this
I
circle.
know.
Like, you know, like
I gotta cast my ritual here real quick. I
Funny
know.
as hell.
Requires material components, coffee, candle.
Oh, I love that though. Like that. That's a really cool thing to hear you talk about. Because it does feel like a practical application of like what you have learned from like D&D in a way.
Oh my gosh,
Like,
D&D
yeah.
makes its way into. I mean, there's so much like fantasy stuff in this album.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man, like that's really dope to like hear you say. Like, what did you say that was called? The invoking the
Yeah,
muse?
invoking the muse. It's
Okay.
just this. I'll send it to you. It's this
Please do.
poem, it's if you want to read more about that whole process. There's 2 books. There's one that's called The Artist's Way, and then the other one is War of Art. And I
Okay.
cannot remember either of the authors, but those are both really great books to get out of creator's block.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
writer's block,
I
whatever.
mean, just you're giving great advice to
Good.
creators here, bro. Like, the next thing I have written down is song length. They don't feel that long in listening to them, but by today's standards, those I think there's a couple like 2-minute something tracks on there, but like most of them are like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, and like I was saying, by today's standards, those are long songs. So like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, what's so interesting is I thought the same thing. When
Yeah.
I listened to Tame and I was like, that song's over 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I feel like it's just because I don't like to linger on parts for too long because I just get bored.
Yeah.
So I feel like I try to create succinct parts and I try to, I guess try to inject as many of them as I can, but I don't linger on them too long.
No.
But like why they end up being 4 to 5 minutes, and they don't feel long. I don't quite know why.
I mean, I asked that question, but I feel like I can kind of like not answer it for you, but like, at least provide some like logic to it. Like you were talking about like the fact that you don't like to, rest on a part for too long. And like there are obvious like choruses and there is song structure there, but I feel like the fact of the matter is like the songs don't get samey. Like
That's good.
like
I hate samey.
yeah.
This is kind of wild. I was having a lot of trouble with the spinning wheel.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I was having trouble was it bothered me that it was in the same key as Wayne and Gibbous.
How funny as hell.
And I was like, oh, should I just... And I even thought about like transposing the song.
Oh, damn.
But like, I'm glad I didn't do that because I just realized after the fact, I was like, you're being way too anal retentive about this. So yeah, I get what you mean. Like I try to stay away from sameness big time.
It's funny that you just brought up Wayne and Gibbous because the next thing I have is that I want stems for that song.
It's
bro.
an absolute mess.
Yeah, no, but that one and the spinning wheel, those initial synth lines on those, like are so me.
Yeah, I can sense that.
Like they're so you, but I could see myself making the same decision you made. You know, I would love to like, if you don't want to let
and
go.
bouncy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I will absolutely send you stems. word of warning, Wayne and Gibbous is a mess. That was the hardest one to actually get done. That one was rough. Just something about there's just certain things would not sit in the mix. So.
Ray, were you gonna say something?
No.
If nothing else, I like because I get a sense from every single track on this that these are massive Ableton files.
They're pretty big.
Like
Yeah.
What's like an average amount of tracks, would you say?
Oh man, that's a good question. I want to say when you bring vocals into it, I was always about like 6 vocal tracks.
Whoa.
I didn't always use them, but 6 vocal tracks, and then I don't know, we're probably 12 to 15.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's not as insane as I thought it would be, but
yeah, I might be wrong on that.
yeah, I mean,
But there's a point where if I have too many tracks, it's overwhelming for me, and I can't work on the song.
yeah.
Like it just freaks me out. I'm like, this is a total rat's nest.
Yeah, funny as hell.
And yeah, I'm just not sure what to do.
Yeah. This is something I just noticed, like, in passing. And Ray, I'm sorry if I'm like talking too much.
No, you
like,
good, bro.
I just, we know each other.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the first you guys have ever met.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you are the music guy, so like,
Yeah.
it makes sense that you would be talking about it.
right. But this is something I noticed just today. But I noticed that your label is Shade Garden.
Yeah. Wondering if somebody would find that.
Well, I found it today. And I was like, you know what? This is a good question to ask, I feel like. So
Yeah.
I assume you use DistroKid and that's your own like
No, actually I use TuneCore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But is that like your own label that you like named?
Yeah, when I was putting the songs up on TuneCore, it asked for a label, and I don't know, I was just feeling cheeky and put Shade Garden, because that's what I started to call my the studio downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Because it's only a couple of windows in there. You've been down
Yeah,
there. There's
yeah.
that weird, like, it's hard to describe, but there's a window essentially underground, and it has this like little, like, it's just like an alcove, and it's covered by a translucent cover to prevent rain from getting in. And so I keep wanting to put plants in there, and I was like, oh, I'll just call this place the Shade Garden. And it's got kind of greenish walls too, and it felt very vibey and chill to me. So
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
Like I like that. There's more. Like I once again expected it to be like a D&D related thing. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see. No, but that's cool that like that's what you call your like space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I feel like it's good to do that.
name your space.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
should do that.
I feel like the place you make music, I don't know. It should have a name.
The place you make anything, I
Yeah.
feel like.
The cave.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I've noticed my uncle, and my uncle lives in this really cool house, which I think you've been there. Maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
Wait, we had. Oh no, that D&D session was before you played.
Yeah,
We played
yeah.
a D&D session there, but he has always like named his houses. It seems like he calls it's in the woods there, and he calls that house Treetops, and I just like the idea of naming places. You know,
Yeah.
like Bob Dylan and the band recorded in a house that they called the Big Pink. And I just think that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is dope. That is dope. Let's see here. Okay, this is like a little question, I feel like, and maybe a little generic, but like the titles of every track stand out to me. And I feel like they're perfectly encompassing words or statements of what the song is. As a fucking song title should be. But I'm wondering if you had like a process like associated with like naming the songs or anything like.
I do this weird thing where I come up with the album I do it all backwards. Like I come up with the title, I come up with what I want the album to look, or the album cover to look like, and sometimes I'll even come up with track names. I'll just make up like a mock track list and be like, that looks cool, yeah. So those titles, a lot of those titles I had for a long time, like Doom Scrollers was Doom Scrolling for a long time. In and Not I've had for like 3 years. Let's see, At the Marrow actually was a totally different song a couple of years ago, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to use that. I want to use it for something else. And Waning Gibbous, like all those are just titles that I liked, and I was like, I want to write songs that I think are that would work in there. In those titles.
That's actually really fucking cool. Like the fact, because like it is not what I expected that answer to be. Like the fact that you worked backwards, really. Like did you have the name Rat King before anything else?
Oh yeah, Rat King was super early.
That's dope. Like you said, like 5 years ago or whatever.
Well, I don't know if it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago was when I was trying to push into like a different sound.
Okay.
Because that was when I started working at Sweetwater, and I started getting all this good gear, and I'm like, okay, now's the time. I'm gonna like really have a better sound, Because before it was just like an AKG Perception mic with like a Focusrite, which I'm not knocking that, because you can make great records like that. But it was like it was starting to get, my stuff was getting old. I just wasn't getting the sound I wanted, and I just couldn't hack it. So anyway, I kind of got off track there.
No, you're good.
You're good.
We were just talking about like the song titles, and I feel like we more or less wrapped that up.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of backtracking a little bit. So like, has music always been your thing? Like, is that always what you wanted to do?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if I go, okay, what do I think my like purpose is? At the most basic level, it's creating, but music has 100% been like the main creative outlet for me. When I was a kid, I got and this is kind of interesting how it connects, but I got Zelda Ocarina of Time for Christmas, the same Christmas that I got my first keyboard, because I was taking lessons.
Man,
and I just...
That's a great combo.
Yeah, dude. And I just learned, when I heard the music, the amazing music from Zelda Ocarina of Time, Koji Kondo, I wanted to learn those songs on the keyboard, because it was literally right next to my TV and the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
So I just was like, and I learned by ear. That's kind of how I relate to music. And so I started learning all the Zelda songs, and just over time, played more piano and singing. I was in a couple choirs and stuff. So and then punk bands and stuff in middle school and high school, and it's always been a part of my life to some degree.
That's cool. I mean, so do you think at some point you'll maybe, I don't know, do music for video games, anything like that, or movies, or
music for video games is my absolute dream job. I would love to do that. I am a little afraid of making music my main source of income, because I don't want to hate it.
Yeah, man.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought that up, because that's, I think, why I was able to like finish Rat King and actually like not overthink it. Because I was like, I just want to make an album that's for me. Like, I don't want to worry about like whether or not other people like it. I don't want to worry about, how I'm going to play it live or something. Like, I wasn't thinking at all about any sort of music career type stuff. It's just like, I just want to make a really good record that I like. And that's it. So it's not that I wouldn't pursue music, but the industry right now is just so weird. I don't know how I would even get in. Because anymore people have to tour to even make a living. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but people are canceling tours left and right because of inflation. It's insanely expensive. They just can't do it, especially like mid-level, even the bands that are pretty well known, just they can't do it. They look at the rundown, the budget, and it's like, we're gonna lose money on this if we do this tour. This is stupid. So that's a whole other conversation, but
You're good. You're
Yeah.
good. We're here for all the tangents, bro.
yeah. So yeah, I guess to wrap that up, I wasn't worried at all about like the logistics of like, okay, how can I market this and you know, blah blah blah. It was just like I just want to make something good like that I like and put it out there and stop overthinking it.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, maybe this is an unwelcome tangent, but we're in the presence of a TikToker. And I was curious. I didn't even have this written down, but I was talking to Ray before you got here about the fact that like, yeah, bro goes crazy on fucking TikTok. like. What is your audience at right now on TikTok? Like
93,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think 93. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let me check.
Hey, you have that ability. 100,000.
That's what I'm trying to shoot for.
Yeah.
93.6K.
Okay.
There you
okay. There you go.
There you go.
But I was curious, like, I don't have TikTok, so, like, I'm not actively, like, watching your shit, unfortunately.
How dare you.
I'm a shitty friend, I'm sorry. No, but, like, I was curious if, like, you have done any cross-promotion?
TikTok is super weird. Everyone knows this.
Mm-hmm.
The algorithm is, it's bizarre because whatever gets, like, I started posting, I do like voice impressions and stuff, and it's like of Mrs. Doubtfire and of Jordan Peterson, which are completely unrelated. And so TikTok does this thing where it only really pushes your videos out to a larger audience if the content is similar to what has already been loved or whatever, has already kind of like gone viral, for lack of a better word. So you'll try something new, and that may be like, hey guys, guess what? I make music too. Check this out. And the algorithm is like, this doesn't look like anything that you've done on on your channel previously, and it doesn't look like your followers would like this. So we're not going to put it. It won't put it out to people. So you kind of get stuck. I had considered creating another account. And just trying to build up an algorithm that way. And like almost hoping someone would see that video and go, oh, that's the dude who does, impressions.
Follow.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I should try it just to experiment. And some people are like, dude, just start posting your music stuff on the one that you already have. Like, who cares? And I'm like, okay, that's a good point too. Yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, because like there is an argument to be said, like, over time maybe that audience will, come along. But if the algorithm isn't pushing it, that's not the issue. But I feel like, it's not a terrible idea either way. But like the fact that you know how to use TikTok and how it works and whatever, like, I feel like it would be a sin to not.
Yeah, like, that's next for sure. Yeah. I plan on digging into it. I think what I was considering actually trying to almost just create a bridge where I start doing like comedy music stuff.
Okay.
And building that in, or even doing songs in the voices and just like moving it into this music direction, and then eventually being like, by the way, here's like stuff I'm dead serious about.
I mean, you're an intelligent guy. If anybody can like do that shit, appropriately, I think it would.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't really. There could be some other new app within a year that just totally crushes TikTok and it's all over. So who knows?
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit before, and this is slightly backtracking. But man, like, this is more of just a compliment than a question. Like, you said you have like anywhere between like, or you said around like 6 vocal layers.
Yeah, at the most 6 to 8, I think, in the really thick harmonic, in little passages like that, they can be 8.
Cause bro, like, that is something that stands out across this project is like the harmonies are insane, like, and they're so full, and like just like the mix and master in general is like I texted you this, but for the sake of saying it, you know, on the podcast, like, bro, like you have set up at least a personal bar for like what an independent artist is fucking capable
Wow,
of.
that's a huge compliment.
Like,
Thanks.
Like, man, like I will continue to come back to this record for years because, like, I'm gonna be looking at my shit like, you know, and I know, like, that's not your intention or anything,
no,
but
of course not.
but like, man, I've my shit needs to sound just as clean as fucking this, because like,
Well, come over with Zach. He wants me to explode my songs for him on Ableton and show him like what they look like.
I
if
would
you wanna
love
come see
that.
it.
Yeah, that would be super cool. Okay. This is an interesting question that I wrote down that like Ray probably looked at this shit and he's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, but I was actually, it's funny that you mentioned Zach, because like, I was talking to him the other day about the record, and him and I kind of like, him before me kind of formed this theory on the premise of the spinning wheel. Is that like related to Zach at all, do you think? Like,
Well, I mean, I reached out to you and I reached
Yeah.
out to him when I was
Yeah.
finishing that song up because I wanted. Yeah, I was curious what you guys like. When I asked them a question, I texted him. I was like, if you could choose an object that represents ADHD, like what is it for you?
Yeah.
And he had told me, shoot, what did he? Oh yeah, like a compass, a spinning compass that just like keeps going around and around.
I think I was with him and he was like Jack Sparrow's compass.
Yes,
Like,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had said, remind me what you had said. It was.
Let me look at our text, Mason.
It's as soon as you say it. There's like
all these
podcast brain. Do you guys know about podcast brain? It's just like your brain turns off when you're on the
This is
spot.
episode 1, bro. Like,
Well, I mean, I figured maybe even episode 0 would have happened.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
As well as like 5 or 6 piss breaks because we were drinking,
which I'm about to do in a second.
Lot. Let me see. I'm
It was a
thinking
really-
about. I said
Metal detector.
like a bunch of like a ring or even a bunch of rings, like a fidget with nervous hands.
Yes. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
right.
have this spinny ring.
Exactly,
you know,
the spinning
like,
stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, it like a lot of the time, in kind of an anxious, you feel like you're in this spiral. There's just like spinning your wheels. You're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And I also liked it because I felt like sometimes with attention deficit or just neuroatypicality, if that's a word.
Neurodivergence.
Yeah, you
or-
just don't know what you're gonna get. Like you feel like it's not under your control. So every day you just kind of spin this wheel, and like, what am I gonna get? How am I gonna feel today? Like, what am I gonna be able to focus on, and what am I not? And there's like this element of chance or like randomness to it, and that linked together really well with the spinning compass, the spinning fidget spinner thing. Even like on a computer, the spinning wheel, where it's like buffering, you know.
And I feel like
dithering,
connects back to Doom Scrollers in a really cool
Yes,
way too.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, so that, and it wasn't necessarily about Zach, but
Right.
of all the people I know that have, like, I talk with him about ADHD a lot.
Yeah,
I talk with you a lot about ADHD, and a girl who I'm friends with named Jordan Bishop, and so yeah, all of you guys, and of course myself, are in mind when I was writing that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like, I can't remember exactly what the lyric was, but he was like, he said something like, cause you and Zach like made a plan at the beginning of the year to like release a song every month, right? And man, like correct me if I'm wrong, but there are like lyrics in that song kind of like connected to.
What's
that.
interesting is that we said that this would be our year line.
Yeah.
I wrote that 2 years ago. So it had
Damn.
nothing to do with
But
Zach
like,
at all. But it just shows you how much that comes up in life. Like you're like you make this plan to do something cool and new, and like then life gets in the way, or you just don't. Your mood changes. You feel anxious about something. You know, whatever it is, you get distracted by other projects.
Yeah.
And yeah, you said it would be your year, and it's just like it wasn't. You didn't do what you said you're gonna do.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's cool that he connected that.
Yeah.
Because that's the exact feeling that I was trying to capture. It's just
Yeah.
like a little bit of guilt.
Yeah.
Just kind of feeling sorry for yourself for
man.
not sticking to it. But you know, yeah, he texted me about that actually, and I was like, oh, I was not calling I wasn't calling you out. I wasn't calling anyone out. It's just it just goes to show you how frequent that comes up in life.
Yeah.
I gotta pee real
Go
bad.
for it. Go for it. Well, there you go.
Intermission.
Shit. You got any questions, Ray?
Yeah, I'll ask some stuff.
All right.
You know.
I kind of knew this was how this was gonna go, and I'm not like mad at it or anything.
Yeah.
I like this is more music oriented, and on top of that, man, I have to pee. Like, but so you know, that'll give you an opportunity to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not tripping at all, bro. Like, that's why I'm just like interjecting with like random shit.
Yeah. There you go. I can't focus on any words, just the fact that I have to use the bathroom.
That's why I made that move.
What time are we at? Let's see. Mason, I'm sorry about the fact that it's just dish soap in there. I you know, if he'll hear it on the podcast.
How long we been going?
Oh yeah, I didn't even check. It looks like 50 minutes maybe.
Okay.
So
Cool.
we can we don't have much left as far as like what's on there.
Yeah.
We can riff for a little bit and call it.
Yeah, I might just honestly like just honestly some of the shit we did last night. I might just like, you know, like what's bro getting into and you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
What are you reading? What are you watching?
Yeah, hell yeah. Whew. Man.
What do you like to drink?
Shut the fuck
BLP?
up. Damn. I'm visibly struggling here. That's my cue.
Yep.
I'll trade places with you. Sorry about the dish, though.
All right.
Ray, what's your favorite movie?
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Damn, you know I've never seen that.
2011. Yeah.
I've never seen that. I'm a Daniel Craig fan though.
I've never watched the original, the Swedish one, because like I'm like that with films where I've seen the remake first and I really like the remake, and it's like I don't want to watch the original and it kind of outshines the.
I get that. Yeah.
And that's happened. So I'm like, but
Yeah, it's a delicate thing. You don't want to like. Yeah, there's some movies that I just don't think I'll ever see because I don't want to, ruin the fact that I like the remake a lot.
And especially with that, because I mean it's, it's based off the book. It's the same thing. So I'm not really, other than the style of it, I'm not missing out on anything.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that trilogy did not get finished.
It didn't.
Not with the American movies. No, it was just the first one.
Oh, just the one.
Because David Fincher directed that one, and I guess that didn't make a lot of money at the time. So Sony was just like, fuck it, and then they adapted the fourth book, which is written by a different author. and different director, different cast, and it was not that good, and I was very mad.
Yeah, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo definitely is like a kind of a cult movie now. It seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like movies that just don't do well at the box office, but
Yeah.
massive following underneath.
Yeah, man. If it's not Tom Cruise or a superhero, it's not gonna fly.
Right,
in
right.
theaters, like, as far as box office numbers go. Which, I mean, to be honest, you know, a lot of the blame is put on like Disney and Marvel Studios and stuff like that. But to me, I kind of blame theaters because they're only gonna push that instead of showing like, I mean, things have been kind of different recently, especially with some horror films. But it's like if you're only gonna show, you know, you're gonna have 4 theaters with just Avengers Endgame, then like, you know,
Yeah.
there's nothing else to go watch. Like, you know,
That's true. I wonder how much of that, like, I mean, what are the, like, each individual movie theater is just doing what some higher up is telling them
yeah,
to do.
exactly, yeah.
So I do wonder, like, how that's all connected. I mean, the studios have to make some sort of deal with
Yeah, for sure.
the theaters.
Yeah.
So it sucks. It's people that have the most money are able to like throw their weight around like that.
Yeah.
And those indie films just get kind of buried. But
And I feel like the same can be said about the music industry too.
Mhm.
Like, you know, but not to like sidetrack,
You
but
good.
bro, like you're doing like as far as like monthly listeners are concerned, like you're doing fairly well.
Yeah.
For this being like your first, you know, big release and like are you happy with the numbers side
absolutely.
of things?
Yeah, I mean, and again, it goes back to me not caring at all, like whether or not people listen to
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
everything everything people have been saying, and like the fact that I have people that are checking my stuff out. I kind of strategized that because I started putting some of my older material up, and I was like sharing links and like getting people to realize that I had a Spotify well before I put up Rat King. So I think there was kind of like, you know, I was doing my own little bit of marketing there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, it's been so cool. I love seeing that people are listening. I'll pull up my little Spotify artist thing, and I always get a little hit of dopamine when I see one person is listening
right
I'm
now.
like, cool. Hey, buddy. Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah.
And Spotify, honestly, like the way they do the artist thing is just really nice. It's really convenient. It's easy to use, and the fact that I can add a little animation to every track, I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You just get to put so much more of like your mark on things. And,
and speaking of your mark, I meant to write this down earlier, but like you made the album artwork, right?
Yeah, I did that too. I did everything, and that's partially because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I need to learn how to collaborate with people a little bit better, and let go, because I'll just have this idea in my head.
Send
I'm
me
like,
stems.
yeah, I know, dude. You should totally remix something. That'd be awesome.
I would love to.
Yeah, you should
I would
absolutely
love
do that.
to.
I'll send you stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Really, I just did everything because I had that idea for the album cover brewing in my mind for so long that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make it. But I did reach out to somebody. I think it was on Fiverr or Upwork, and the guy's art. He's a fantastic artist.
Yeah.
And I sent him a commission for it. I was like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And dude, it couldn't have been further off the mark.
Yeah,
I was
no.
just like, oh man, I'm so sorry. This just isn't what I'm looking for. Like, I think I'm gonna go a different way. It was wild. Like, I don't.
Do you have that image still?
Yeah.
Can I?
I'll have to. Yeah,
as
by the
people
way.
who have done album artwork, like I would personally love to see it.
It's
if not
rough.
now, like
It felt like it was the laziest AI generated
man.
music. It was weird. I wonder if sometimes artists, and I have no idea, I'm kind of talking out of pocket here, but
You're good.
sometimes I wonder if artists on those sites start out with something really lazy because they don't believe that the person is for real about whether or not they want to buy. So they're not going to waste their time on something because they probably got burned so many times in the past.
Yeah.
So they send something kind of like lazy at first, and then they start tweaking from there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a guess, but it felt way off of even what that person looked like they were capable of doing, according to their profile on Fiverr. So I was a little like, this isn't the way to go.
Yeah, the art that I've done is, I draw it myself. I don't really use Photoshop or anything like that, but I will definitely send a sketch first and then go from there. So I don't know, it's just, that's a communication thing for sure, instead of just like, look at this.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's totally communication. And I probably, who knows, the thing that I sent to him, I probably could have been a lot clearer on that too.
Yeah, it happens,
bro. Ultimately, you did do your own album cover, and it's fucking sick.
Thank you. I'm really happy with that too, because to me, art stuff is kind of down low for me. Like I don't keep up with it very much, and it's like kind of random when I make something. So I was really happy that came together. I literally took I was at the table all day trying to get that to look right.
Right. Given that we're both like artists, all of us are artists here, and I'm curious about like the, because I assume it's a physical.
Yeah, it's a physical piece. It's hanging up on my wall. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I literally hung it up and just took a picture of it. So
Word.
even the kind of beige background is actually my dining room wall.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, do you mind talking about like the medium a little bit? Like what kind of, like, what materials were you using, that sort
Sure.
of thing?
Yeah, you remember that night in February we had a painting night?
Yeah.
I took those paintings and I cut them up with just an X-Acto knife and just made these little strips, and I just kind of set them aside, and I was like, I think I'm going to work it in, because I just wanted to make a collage.
Yeah.
And I painted another thing, and with the idea that I would cut that up too. So I made like this kind of weird dark and blue speckled thing, and then cut that up. And then the rest of it is just like hunks of cardboard, because there was the theme of trash and rats and all that. I was like, I would like to use like refuse and kind of have this that kind of motif going. So I just ripped up some cardboard, and I had a lot of like spray adhesive, and just started kind of assembling it before using the glue. Cut up everything. How did I do that? I think
It's probably all the spray adhesive that you forgot, bro.
exactly. I was inhaling that for hours. And just like that stuff gets everywhere. I was sticking to things on my chair. I'm just like, oh god. But I think I just assembled everything without doing any adhesive, and I liked that. And then I was like, okay, now I'm just gonna paint the background, paint the cardboard pieces, and just like add little doodles. There's like pen and ink in there. There's I don't think I used any markers, but yeah, it's just like regular paint. What do they call that paint? Just the
acrylic?
Yeah, the acrylic paints.
Okay.
And yeah, cut out pieces of other paintings. That's pretty much it.
That's
dope. I just glued it together after I assembled it, and I was like, that looks right. And I also like the top of it kind of comes out of what you would. It looks like it could be like a normal vinyl size thing, and then there's like this extra little like jutting out piece of cardboard at the top, and I liked it kind of looking like it was escaping the confines of what would be a vinyl cover.
Hell yeah. Yeah, because I peeped it when we were listening earlier, but I couldn't look at it. Well, I was at an angle for one.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I guess I had a feeling it was kind of like collage-y, but like I had no idea that it was like that's your fucking wall, not a canvas. Like that's and like that really does like put it into perspective. Like the torn cardboard is so cool.
Yeah,
like
for real.
like
Yeah, thanks.
Really dope.
It's just
really
one of those
dope.
things where like things just kind of fall together. Like the way that stuff ripped, I was like, that looks cool, and you just go with it. I had an idea in my head, but really you just got to start and just like start chopping stuff up, throwing it together, seeing like it will inspire you as you start to see it come together.
One thing I was gonna mention, just from my experience, in art school and whatever, is I think you would love image transfer.
What is that exactly?
Okay, so like I think I've talked to you about
Yeah.
this. If you, I'm trying to see if there's like a closer example,
Is
but
it,
like
it's not like Linocut, right?
no.
Okay.
So basically, like you have. They were saying like in school that like it has to be a laser printed image, right? But like most ink will work to a certain extent with this stuff. But anyway, like if you look at that right there, that strip next to the door,
Yeah.
that is all image transfer stuff. So those are printed images that you use either matte or glossy medium or even paint. And basically you apply layers and layers and layers of this medium to your surface, whatever it is, and then you apply layers and layers and layers of that to your image that you want on the surface, and then you adhere them together, and you use water to rub away the paper.
Interesting. I would love to see that in action because I've never really.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of that before.
I you know just like given that you know it you like that collage-y stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like I feel like that would be something, you know, worth getting
Totally.
into. Like you were saying, you have like your art studio in
Yeah,
your
I'm building a
house.
craft room now. Yeah, so that's I just got two. Yeah, by the way, I bought really two big drafting tables that are like going to be, I think, about this size.
Yeah.
And they're gridded too with like a 1-inch grid because I want to make D&D terrain. So I
Yeah.
like more physical terrain.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I would love to have like a station for something else like
Yeah.
that, like image transfer or Linocut. I like doing Linocut.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Ray, do you have any? Or you wanted to go over some of the episode 0 stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, really just like, you know, obviously there's Rat King, and you know you've been pushing that, promoting that, and so like, what else have you been getting into? Like, what have you been watching, reading? Like,
Oh man, I'm still working through Lord of the Rings trilogy because I had not read it. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I'd only seen the movies, so I'm still reading that. I didn't want to read them over the summer because that just doesn't feel Lord of the Ringsy. I don't know why. I was like, I
Yeah.
want to read this in the winter.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, because
Yeah.
the color palette in Lord of the Rings is like brown.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was reading that. I also am about to be done with Marie Kondo's the book about tidying things up, cleaning your house. It's interesting how many like little points transfer over to other stuff in your life. You know, she's the one who, if people aren't familiar, had that show about sparking joy, and like if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it. But her book is fantastic. That, let's see what else. Show wise, I just finished up both Rings of Power and House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon is incredible.
Need to
Rings of
watch
Power, not so much in my opinion. Didn't really like it, but
Fair enough.
those are the two I've been watching. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm
Like
getting into.
any games or albums?
I haven't been gaming in a while.
I mean, neither have I really.
Yeah, I was playing Elden Ring back in March and April when it came out, and yeah, then I just started working on the album, and I just was like, I can't justify sitting down and playing a video game when I could be
Yeah.
down working on this. so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just looking, and feel free to.
Yeah, I mean that was really like the main thing for me.
Album wise, Panda Bear's new record came out. It was really good, called Reset. That's fantastic. Big Thief's record from, I think that was early. I think it was in September when it came out. That's a fantastic album too. Very folky, very even some country elements.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of indie folk stuff.
Okay.
Is there any artist in music who a lot of people do not fuck with, but you will like ride for them like forever?
I say that about Animal. I mean, Animal Collective is one of those bands. I think some people just do not get them, do not like them, and you know, there's a lot of really weird grating stuff that comes out from that
Yeah.
band that just frankly doesn't always sound so good. But you kind of get a taste for certain bands, and you're like, I know them, I understand like what they're trying to get at, and like, not to be, it's a pretentious thing to think, but you're like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
But it is true. There's some stuff where some people it's not for them, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But Animal Collective has always been one of those bands where I'll show it to somebody and it's a 50-50% chance, or 50-50 that they're gonna like it or just absolutely hate it. So,
Yeah.
any of the guys from that band, they all have solo stuff. AV Tear's solo records are really cool. Not for everybody, but really cool.
Would you say, from what I've heard, Panda Bear is like the most like I'm not gonna say mainstream, but like the most accessible
Yeah,
stuff?
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Because I haven't listened to a ton of Animal Collective, damn near only what like people have showed me, including you. But yeah, like everyone says like Panda Bear is like a must listen.
Yeah, he's great. He was on that Daft Punk song, Doing It Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Random Access Memories.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people know him just from that because that
Right.
album was massive, of course.
Right. I felt like I had one more thing, but maybe. Oh yeah. And no pressure. It's the end of the episode. But any further thoughts on Ray's question about like if this album was a movie?
It keeps the question keeps coming into my head, and nothing else has come up. I think that it would be a claymation with a lot of fantasy elements. Man, I wish I could satisfy you with an answer to this question.
No, you're good.
I cannot think of a movie that I sense a kinship with Rat King.
And that's totally okay, because like that tells me that this is like just like you, like this is like we've talked about your inspirations and that sort of thing, but like if there's not something that like you can picture, I'm stumbling over my words here a little bit, but like if there's not something like tangible that like comes up in your brain, then that leaves it up to the listener to like create their own images.
Yeah, well, this is kind of an interesting thing to maybe end on, because it's, I think, related to music and D&D and movies.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about world building in a lot of ways. You're building a world, like sonically. You're doing that obviously with movies and with D&D, and I think that's what I tried to do with Rat King. I was like, I want to create a space where this Rat King would live, and like all of these ideas would live, and so they fit together because I know that they're from that world, whatever it is. So yeah, I suppose in a way it's like it is its own unique thing. It's its own Rat King world, its own Rat King universe.
And you're good at building worlds.
Man,
bro.
thank you. That's
like,
it's my absolute favorite thing to do. I spend so much time.
Yeah, I'm already knowing,
on
bro.
this.
Like,
yeah.
Well, shit. Let's look at our final time. I think we're looking at about 70 minutes.
That's a healthy episode.
And that's healthier than last episode.
Oh yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for being our first episode, first guest. Like,
I am honored.
Yeah,
thank you
thanks,
so
man.
much for having me. This is just awesome. I mean, this is the type of conversation that I love to have, and would have obviously done it without recording. So it's cool that we captured it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, bro. Obviously this whole time we've been plugging Rat King. But is there, do you want to plug your TikTok? Do you want to plug your Instagram?
Sure, yeah.
Whatever,
I mean,
like,
Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Mason Hunter, Rat King, you'll find me. And then on TikTok, it's Mason B. Hunter. But if you stumble across some goofy dude doing Mrs. Doubtfire, that's probably me. I don't really know anybody else doing it on that. But But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Can you give us a "There You Go" in your best Mrs. Doubtfire like?
There you go, puppet.
Yes.
I'll do another one just in case in editing you want to change it. Oh, there you go, dear.
Iconic, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a pleasure.
Hey, good to meet you today.
Yeah,
bro.
man.
Hell yeah. Let's call it.
Long live the king.
Long live the king.
Oh, I love it. Long live the king.